Two, hello, check. 2. What's up, folks? What's up, chat? Hello. Welcome. Cashing in the ruples. We're going to talk about this, okay? I went off a little bit yesterday about this whole like Russian interference story before all the details were revealed. So I want to be able to talk a little bit about this today. Maybe refine the take a little bit. I think we can find a way to talk about this and talk about this idea of foreign interference and Russian collusion and all this stuff while not also being like, I love Tim Pool and Benny Johnson and they did nothing wrong. I think we can do both of those things. We're not getting right into it yet, Crackety Crack, and I'm just saying today we're going to do this. Give me about 20, 30 minutes first to warm up here. When Rob says 2-2, hello, check, he's secretly signaling how he's a 4-time check asset. Wow, you're on to me. You're on to me. This is crazy. I believe that Rob is funded by Putin to bash The Last Jedi. Well, so does Ryan Johnson. Ryan Johnson specifically said that some of the Last Jedi discourse was Russian collusion as well. Anyway, this is it. We can talk about this story. We can talk about Russia and Russian collusion. And we don't need to do that in a way that's like, I love Tim Pool. I think we can mock Tim Pool and Benny Johnson and these guys while also formulating some kind of nuanced take about this whole situation and Russia's funding of right-wing media outlets. I think we can do both. Okay, and that's what we're going to try and do today in a little while. First, I'm going to eat this sandwich. I hate Tim Pool so much. Well, me too. And I've talked plenty about how annoying it is that Tim Pool, who I don't think is really particularly smart or charismatic, he certainly doesn't have good takes or opinions. The idea that he's become this like sensation, he's like this multimillionaire, I find it very frustrating. I really do. And now I find out he's getting paid this like $400K per video from these like Russian RT cutouts. And it's like, God damn, dude. I'm trying to scrape together a couple dimes to buy a Honda Fit right now. I'm toiling away here in the content mines every day. Still often advocating for viewpoints that some might describe as being pro-Russia sometimes. Totally free of charge. Totally pro bono. Where's my 400K? You know? Where's my 400K? I talk about Ukraine. I talk about NATO. Give me some ruples. Where are my ruples? Excuse me. I'm almost finished my sandwich. What kind of sandwich? I got just some cheap pork chops the other day from the grocery store, and I had like dinner. I made one for dinner the other night, and then I just made another one, and then I made a couple sandwiches out of that. Which is nice. It's spicy. Throw it on a brioche with some QP mayo, some chili crisp, some sliced up pork chop. Very nice. Very nice. Where's my Diet Coke, though? I need my Diet Coke. One sec. If 400K suddenly appeared in my bank account, I would have so much less anxiety about going broke. Yeah, well, me too, frankly. Me too. I can go woke without fear, exactly. This is my problem. I've gone way too woke. I've gotten way too woke over the past couple of years. Hello, Malacca. Old Dutch. Hello. We might need some kind of TRRS Malacca emote at some point. I like that this is becoming a thing. I'm into it. I'm feeling it. Yeah, we got to talk about Macron as well. Our ally in democracy, liberal democracy. We love it, folks, when the left comes together to put together this historic coalition to win the majority of seats in an election, and the neoliberal president is like, okay, I'm going to promote this conservative prime minister now. You're welcome, everybody. That's called democracy. That's Western liberal democracy at its finest. No, it really kind of is, yeah. That's really the whole purpose of the whole thing, isn't it? Turmoil in liberal democracies. Liberal democracies seeming very healthy. Seeming very, very healthy lately, I think. What's French for scumbag? Because that is Emmanuel the scumbag Macron. I mean, I don't know. I guess putain would be one, but I think that's like weirdly gendered. I don't know if we can say putain. I don't know. I don't know if it's illegal to say that or if we should be using that kind of term. Like I said, I swear a lot in French, but it's mostly it's like goddamn, Jesus Christ, like that kind of stuff. It's not like insults towards people. Yeah, there's thing you can't say he's a sacrement. Sac à merde, that's pretty good. You could say Macron is like un esti de sac à merde en calice tabarnak. You could say that. I think that works. You can say whatever negative thing about Macron you want, and I agree. I agree. So I'm a little late getting started. I don't think I've ever heard you speak it. I speak French pretty often on here. Not that often, but on occasion. So I was a little late getting started. I'm trying to figure out this car situation. I really I'm a little anxious about it, honestly, because it's something that I should have figured out this summer and didn't. And now I'm trying to do it quickly. And I think that's not really a good way you want to do this, you know? That's something that you want to probably take a few weeks or months to figure out the best option. But I'm kind of I need a fucking car. I'm realizing I need it pretty soon. So I'm kind of trying to do that. I hope I got something. I got something on the brew here that I'm going to try and go for tomorrow, I think. I got to get it inspected. It's a used vehicle from a lot. I'm going to go get it inspected tomorrow and see if it's there's any major problems with it. If there's not, I may be getting it. We'll see. I don't know. I'm very anxious about the whole thing, frankly. It is a 2009 Honda Fit. I may be purchasing a 2009 Honda Fit. That's what I got possibly going on here. It is cute. It is cute. Yeah, I am a hatchback king. That's right. Hondas are good. So it's red. It's a red Honda Fit Sport. Under 200K on it, unless there's some fuckery at the dealership. I did ask about that, and obviously they said that there was no fuckery, but I think if you're doing fuckery, usually you don't admit to it. You know? Are there any tax incentives on vehicles for self-employed people in QC? It's something I should probably look into, isn't it? Mr. Dealer, is there any how you say fuckery going on here? Any capping happening around this car? Are you capping? Look him in the eye. Are you capping with this? Is there any capping going on? My cap alert is tingling. My capping sense. Gotta find an old man that never drove there. Has got a 98 Mazda with 55k miles on it. Well, I guess the problem is that the time thing is sensitive. It's something I've got to figure out on the soon side. My kid started school. I just did the first, I picked him up yesterday, which actually it didn't go okay. And it exactly proved to me why I need to figure this out, soon. Because I have this, community auto sharing program. I told myself I'm going to try this and see how it works. And my first day going to pick him up yesterday, I went and picked up the car I'm supposed to use and had a flat tire. I started driving it and had a fucking flat tire. So I had to stop and get out and close it and dispute the payment and go find another car that was available. Which I was very fortunate that there was one in the area. There's not always ones in the area that are available. And, you know, it's like a 25-30 minute drive each way. And it's like, I can't, like, it's day one of doing this commute. Went to pick him up and bring him back. And I'm like, I gotta get a car. You know? So I don't love it. I really wanted to avoid getting a car. You know? I wanted to avoid it. I don't think it's going to be possible to avoid it. So now I'm just like figuring out how to make that happen. I'm just figuring out how to make it happen. Well, I know Technomancy at his old school, it was a 10-minute walk to bring him to school because of certain changes that have been going on. It's farther. He's going to a different school this year. That requires like a commute. So that's the situation. And like I've been saying, it's a big change for me. Obviously, it's a lot less convenient for me. He's obviously the most important person in that equation. So, you know, if it's a good situation for him and he likes being there and it's a good school for him to be in, then it's okay. Like, if I can drive a little bit, it's not really a big deal. But it's just, I realized very, very quickly that I'm not going to be able to do it without having a vehicle. Like, it's just not going to be possible. So that's what we're trying to do now. We're going to maybe be purchasing a Honda Fit. Another money pit. It's more like the Honda Money Pit is what it should be called. But can't be helped. Imagine Montreal, but with even half the public transit, bicycling, walkability as like Amsterdam, it would immediately rank #1 in the world for me. The thing is, like, Montreal is pretty good for that stuff. Maybe it's not good like a city like Amsterdam in terms of like the cycling infrastructure and everything. It's also the urban design is different. But like Montreal, the public transit is pretty good and the bicycling infrastructure is pretty good. For North American standards, it's probably top 3 in North America. Yeah, world's better than most Canadian cities. Probably the best city in the country for that kind of stuff. Transit and cycling and walkability. Yeah, I couldn't name off the top of my head what would be better in Canada. I'm just kind of like trying to be reasonable about it. Just fantasizing about what if the best of both worlds. Well, it's always something that can still be improved upon, that's for sure. I mean, I would like to have free transit. Our transit, even though it's probably cheaper than most other places, I would like it to be free. Free public transit, that would be good. Why not have that? If we want to get people out of cars, you know? I'm exercising while listening. I have to do 3 minutes of jumping up and down, then I get a measly minute to pump my red hot takes into chat. Okay. It's a little quite descriptive. Very colorful. Toronto is a transit shit show right now. It's so depressing. Yeah, no, that's something that needs to be improved a lot, definitely. I was lurking and thinking about how all these experiences are what make people think that socialism doesn't work. People are just terrible, etc. Yeah, our public transit is so bad as an indication that socialism doesn't work. Public infrastructure doesn't work because after it's been defunded for 30 years, lo and behold, and whether it's in healthcare or transit or whatever other like public infrastructure you can talk about, it gets defunded for generations, and then it's like, this shit just doesn't work. We got to privatize this. Science centers, yes. Eglinton Light Rail Transit has been under construction for over 10 years with no ETA. It's just not. It's going to be one of those like abandoned projects, I feel like, Kijiji. This is why Toronto needs China to step in and like fix these issues. This is why Canada needs this. This is why Canada should be part of the Belt and Road Initiative. Like, we make fun of like DPRK and the Ryugyong Hotel and everything, these like abandoned infrastructure projects that are never going to be finished, and that's what Eglinton Light Rail Transit's going to be. Just sitting there. Just a monument to greed and corruption. That's what it is. It's not even a transit system. It's just a monument. It's a monument to capitalist greed and corruption. The Hyperloop connecting Edmonton and Calgary is going to get built anytime now. Exactly. It's going to be like an instantaneous, basically. Eglinton LRT show why public-private partnerships are a scam. Well, and that's the thing. You can talk about public-private partnerships in China, where they get heavily subsidized by private companies, and then they're not profitable. And then the government just tells these private investors to fuck themselves. That's a public-private partnership. That's what that should look like. You know, we have the opposite. We have the private investors telling the public to go fuck themselves. That's not what we want. We want it to flip that. We want to flip that over. All these like Chinese billionaires are like, we helped build this high-speed rail system. When are we going to see profits? And the government, the state's just like, we don't care. Shut up. Shut the fuck up. You know, that's how you got to do it. I learned recently that transit in Vancouver is helping make everyone's lives worse because a large part of their revenue model is real estate development. You know, what do you know? I thought investments had a degree of associated risk. Exactly. Except these private interests are being compelled to invest in this. They're like, you made millions of dollars in our kind of like opened up pseudo state capitalist system. Okay, well now you're going to pay into this high-speed rail system. And they're like, well, do we have to? And they're like, yes, you do. Well, are we going to get a profit from that? Probably not. We're not going to lie. You probably will not. Why can't we have that? You know, why can't we have that kind of a system? I'm fine with it as well. Why wouldn't we be fine with it? You know, you've done very well for yourself. You've done very, very well. Congratulations. You started some media company or tech company. You made millions. Good for you. Good job. Now it's your time. Now it's your turn to pay back into that now. Yeah, not just through taxation, but through like investment in public infrastructure. Voluntary investment. The shithead Labour Party of Sir Keir Starmer is doing that here now, de-risking investment for private money to do PFI, the same system that will still owe billions in interest payments on hospitals for... Starmer is really just doing, like we talk about Macron in France, opening the door for the right to take over. Starmer's doing the exact same thing. This Starmer government is going to last maybe one election cycle, and then they're going to get bulldozed by some absolute fascist psychos. Because they're doing this whole like penny pinching austerity thing that we just have to. We have to do austerity. The Conservatives were so bad at the economy that now we can't afford to do anything, and unfortunately we got to do austerity again. Let's see how that works out. How has that worked out historically? Very IMF of them, exactly. Yes. Can't just shake the old money tree, I always say. Very, very Rachel Notley coded, exactly. Can't just shake the old money tree, except when it comes to like giving weapons to Ukraine and Israel. That we can do. We can do that. It turns out there actually is a magic money tree. We can shake that, and we can just come up with unlimited contracts for weapons manufacturers. It turns out. Or like oil subsidies, coal subsidies, whatever it is. But Rob, they limited the sales of arms to Israel by less than 10%. They limit them by less than 10%, and then they still get criticized as being like pro-Hamas. And then they apologize for being pro-Hamas. Wonderful. Canada's been doing austerity for a while now. So many public programs have been cut. Exactly. This is what we've been talking about, like over the last several decades, really, like since the 80s. And now our healthcare system is in shambles. That was once like a source of kind of national pride. Our healthcare system is in shambles. Our infrastructure is in shambles. And our only thing we can imagine ever is just like giving tax breaks to real estate developers and telecoms and oil companies. That's all we can do. That's our entire political imagination. Just thoroughly neoliberal. There's no escape, no possible alternatives. We can all like hold hands around a campfire though and sing songs with hope and optimism and love for one another. That's how we're going to tackle this. It's all going to be okay. It's all going to be fine, folks. Before I found this channel, I thought Canada was cool and Bernie was going to be POTUS. Yeah, this is... Listen, I don't mean to, like, give people the black pill or doomerism or whatever it is. It's like, I would love to be more optimistic, frankly. I would be happy to be more optimistic. The wild thing to me is that the huge majority of Canadians can see that the degradation of our healthcare system is intentional, but they still vote for Conservatives to solve it. Yeah, that's because the reason our healthcare system is being degraded, the reason the housing crisis is what it is because of immigrants. That's right. That's the reason. That's why. And because of wasteful government spending. We just got to privatize, cut the red tape, crack down on immigration, and we're going to be good to go, according to the Conservatives. We've been trying it for 30 years and it hasn't worked out, but let's continue doing that, though. Just maybe this time it's going to happen. Doug Ford's approval rating is still high for reasons. It's because we live in a deeply reactionary country, and people like it. We live in a nation... The reality is... As much as Canada, maybe if you grew up in Canada, you might have the idea that it's some kind of like progressive paradise. We live in a deeply reactionary country surrounded by hogs. It's really as simple as that. And they like it. They liked when Doug Ford spends billions of dollars to make everything worse and brings beer to 7-Eleven. They think it's just great. They think it's just dandy. It'll be like the 50s again when there was all kinds of red tape and immigrants, but whatever, my grampy was a kid then. He says things were great. Exactly. At this time when the highest marginal tax rate was like 90%. You used to have no beer in your 7-Elevens. Not in Ontario. In Quebec, yes. This is one reason why Quebec is cool. But talking to anyone is just impossible now. Even the libs used to be more progressive, especially on geopolitical stuff. For sure, they're all little. They're all fascists. We just live in we're surrounded by fascism, different flavors of it, different varieties of it. I was talking to my friend the other day. It was an American guy, not like a friend, a guy I knew years ago, who used to live in Montreal, go to McGill, and he was back in town, and I met up with him and some other friends. And he was asking about that. He was asking me about like the DNC, and I was just like, I don't know. It was like really, it seemed like a celebration of American fascism to me. And he was like, really? Like Oprah's fascist to you? And I was like, yeah, that's right. Oprah's fascist to me. You know? And I was talking a little bit about this. Like, it's just different flavor. You have like we talked about, it's the rainbow version, the rainbow fascism, or the jackbooted thug fascism. And there's a lot of crossover with the jackbooted thugs on both sides. The older you get, the more you realize American libs are fascist as hell, and Canadians as well, you know? The most lethal military force in the world, when you're leading the most genocidal nation in the world, yeah, it's fucking fascist. And just surrounded by cops. I still find it so jarring, the whole like mandatory joy thing. The joy situation. And all the cops and doubling down on militarism and law and order and the border. And, you know, supporting this genocide and being like, joy, you will feel joy. I find it so weird. I think it's genuinely very fucked up. And none of that has sealed this thing for her. It's still really close. As I talked about on the podcast the other day with Jordan, it's like things have really tightened up. All that momentum now is gone. There was kind of momentum around Harris and Walz. There was like this idea that maybe they were going to like do good things instead of bad things. And then they're just like, they do this whole 3-day long celebration to be like, no, don't worry. We're still doing all the bad stuff. Don't worry. We're doubling and tripling down on all the bad stuff that we want to do. I want to know what there is to be genuinely joyful about these days when it comes to national politics and foreign affairs. It's so fucking forced and fake. Like, I don't know, the Kamala thing, like, we can look into their agenda. Like, there's some stuff, there's some interesting economic policies in their agenda that they're trying to promote. But it's like, as it always comes up whenever we talk about this, like, what evidence is there that they're going to do any of this stuff? Like, it's a platform. And you might be able to look at things in the platform and pick out things, setting aside the law and order, the border, the foreign policy stuff. You might be able to look at this kind of neoliberal platform and be like, okay, well, that seems pretty good. That seems all right. Tim Walz is a pretty effective communicator of these kinds of ideas. But it's like, well, are you going to pass this stuff? Are you going to pass this agenda? The previous guy didn't pass his agenda. So what are you actually going to do about passing any of this stuff? And if the answer is, well, you just have to vote for Democrats and we're going to do it, then, you know, It's hard. I think it's hard for people to get excited about that. I really can't get over how funny it is that Trump almost got, and like 6 weeks later, no one cares. I think like 3 weeks later, no one cared. I think it's very funny. I think the meme of just pretending that it just didn't happen is very enjoyable to me as well. When they're like, never forget this. And it's just like, no, that didn't happen. That never happened. I find that funny. The AI fake Trump assassination. Part of it is how completely desensitized to gun violence we are. I mean, it's hard to listen to conservatives being like, the president was almost shot. It's like, okay, well, you guys are the ones that are just like, oh, kids being murdered in schools. Well, that's just part of being free. It's just part of being free, being a free country. It's the price you pay. Sometimes children are just slaughtered when they're trying to go to school. And if you take steps to prevent that from happening, you're less free. So, well, it's like, all right, well, if that's the case, well, then sometimes people are going to take pot shots at presidential candidates, I guess. And that's just the price you pay. You know? GOP doesn't want to think about the stochastic violence they stoke, and liberals thought, well, we're never doing gun control, so who cares? Yeah. Not normal is good. The veneer is cracking. We just got to be there to guide people away from the reactionary pitfalls. And I agree with that to an extent, Hey Duke. My concern, though, is that there's way, way more people, heavily funded people, guiding them in the other direction. That's my concern. This is my concern, dude. Maybe it's naive, but I generally think the public narrative is shifting to thinking gun control is the only answer. But I mean, there's a lot of things that are popular with the public. You know what else is popular with the public? An arms embargo against Israel. That's like quite popular. And polling tells us that that's quite a popular idea, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's what's going to happen. I think most people, when asked about this, think, no, it's probably bad that like any 18-year-old kid can just go get a gun, an AR-15, which stands for assault rifle, AR as well. And just go get a gun with like very little difficulty. I think most people agree that there should be some kind of basic reforms to make things slightly more difficult for these like would-be mass shooters. But it doesn't matter what people actually want, though. It's what the gun companies want. AR-15 is assault rifle, 15 bullets. That's right. That's what it stands for. 15 meaning 14 words, but one extra word. And that's true. People don't care until it's them on the other side of the gun. That's a good point as well. Plasma grapes. Thanks for the follow, by the way. And then you have this like grandstanding from Kamala Harris being like, children are being killed. Like, enough is enough. Children are being killed while they're sending billions of dollars worth of weapons to Israel to kill children. I'm surprised they haven't tried subscriptions for guns yet. Yeah, you just get a little app on your phone, Gunner, Gunr. It's like Uber, but for guns. You know, you can just quickly sign out a gun if you need it. If you need a deadly weapon for like a couple hours, you go and you can pick it up, bring it back when you're done. But why not? Why not just do that? You know? Yeah, not going to need this for long. Just need to sign out this deadly assault weapon for 3-4 hours. I'm going to bring it back. Communo Salto. That's good. That's good. I like that. Hey, by the way, folks, did you know that it's September? It's true. And remember, if you want to support this program that you're watching currently, if you're a long-time viewer or listener or a chatter, community member, or if you're brand new to the channel, it's your first time checking it out, please subscribe if you can. Trying to make this little number go up every single day. It is September. Batch subs on sale right now. New subs on sale. And upscaling your subscription from a 1 month to a 3 or 6 month subscription. Also on sale. You've just become an elite member of the Friendship Triangle. Look at that. There it is. There it is. Kijiji, thanks for the 5 gifted subs. I really appreciate that. You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this. And Risk Inverse, thanks for the gifted sub as well. Thank you. I'm on my grind this week, folks. I'm hustling and grinding here on Twitch.tv. I'm making some progress. I'm taking steps to eventually get back to kind of where I was before the beginning of the summer. So are there any other fine individuals that want to support this program during the sacred month of September? Remember, batch subs on sale right now. There's no better time. There's no better time to subscribe to this program and support the work that I do here on Twitch.tv every single day than the glorious month of September. And it makes me smile as well. What about that? It also makes me smile. You've just become an elite member of the Friendship Triangle. Diego, thank you so much for 5 gifted subs and for all the support. You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk. Thank you very much, Diego.
I, for one, have counted on good OL Rob for many moons. Totally worth it.
Ryaye, thanks for the 9 months as well. Thank you, Ryaye. Look at our precious boy, Rob. You've just become an elite member of the Friendship Triangle. You've just become an elite member of the Friendship Triangle. Joey Stalin, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. Very, very kind of you, Joey Stalin. Joey Steele, they call him. And Bleep Lord as well, thanks for 5 gifted subs. Really, really appreciate that, Bleep Lord. Thank you, Bleep Lord. Really, really appreciate that. Why is Rob acting scary? Is it scary when I smile?
Use the computer to mark up the size of the account.
Is it scary?
You keep this up and the Putler bucks will stop flowing. Bucko.
Stalin, as they call him in Russia. Thank you, Joe, for the 200 bits. Nine months of Rob not pronouncing my username correctly. By month 12, we'll get there. So what is it then? What is it? How do you pronounce it? Is it really that scary when because I smile? Is it that rare that I smile sometimes? It scared me when you were smiling like that. It looked like you had a mental break. Well, maybe a little bit. show a lot of teeth when you smile. Well, if we get any more subs, we'll see. I'll do a big extra one. We are close to level 5 of this hype train, folks. Probably another sub would do it. It's supposed to rhyme with rye. Rye, I. Like an exclamation. Okay. Rye, I. Okay, that makes sense. I, like the military thing. Maybe I'll just say rye. Maybe that would be the best thing to do. Very close to level 5, folks, of this hype train. Very close to level 5. One more sub, or probably a fistful of bits would get it done. Hyped train. I, for one, always enjoy a hyped train. Breaking news, my cat cleared the ulcer in his eye that was making it impossible to open. Great. I'm happy to hear that. We love our cats, don't we? We love them. Sub, Malaka. We got 90 seconds left. 8% of the way to the next level, folks.
Good old Rob
we did it.
To
there we
talk
go.
you through all this. You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Perfect Speller, thank you for the gifted sub. Thank you, Perfect Speller.
We simply use the computer to mark up the size of the account.
Chugga 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 choo choo.
Joe, thank you for the 200 bits. And Dimitri, thanks for the 145 bits. Hello, Malaka. Hello. Can you have Aaron Thorpe, aka Cosmic Slop, on the show to discuss his controversial views on cats? I saw one of those takes. I didn't see anything controversial from what he said, which is he said, don't let your fucking animals on the counter where you prepare food. Which, listen, I love cats. I love animals. I think that's pretty reasonable. I don't think there should be cats walking around on countertops and tables where you prepare and serve food that you eat. I don't think that's good to do. Call me crazy. Apparently people called him fascist for that take. Of course.
Yeah. Have good old Rob to talk you
Of course
through all
they
this.
did. Risk Inverse, thanks for gifting 3 subs. I really appreciate that, Risk Inverse. Thank you. I don't let people sit or stand or empty out their pockets on food prep surfaces either. I think the whole thing about that is they're supposed to be clean. That's my understanding. You want to avoid having bacteria and bad stuff on there, so then you avoid ingesting the bacteria, you know? I think that's pretty reasonable. You are aware that a cat-human relationship, the human is not the boss? I mean, technically, yes, I do agree with that. But the human does still have like certain physical capabilities to prevent the cat boss from like infecting its food with like kitty litter paws and fecal matter. You know? Like, even if someone is your boss, I think it's still within your rights to prevent them from like making you ingest fecal matter. You know? I don't think it's not mutually exclusive. Oh no, you don't like eating cat shit all of a sudden. It's Mr. Fascist. Our cat roommate won't stop getting on the dining table, so we have to wipe it down before every meal. I mean, I guess at least you're wiping it down. Rob's reactionary turn. The toxoplasmosis is part of the plan. It's all part of the plan. Not eating fecal matter? Tough talk for an employee of the Amazon conglomerate. Yeah. Rob was funded by Russia. for his cat shit takes. Not helping the argument about cat owners having fungal brain poison that makes them cat thralls. Just saying, no, it's not at all. It's my cat should be making me ingest fecal matter, and you're wrong for suggesting that that's not a good thing. What's going on with that? You know, there's something animating that. Where does cat turd fit into this? I don't know, but that man has a weird obsession with this kind of subject matter. You got a whole ass rest of the house in the tree, exactly. Fellas, just because cats have been cooking in the old domestication chamber for less time, we do not need to allow them to rule us. And listen, I get it. I've been a cat owner. I get it. They're kind of in charge. It's true in many ways, but like we got to have a limit somewhere. We got to draw a line in the cat box sand. Okay? We got to draw a line in the cat box sand. A line in the kitty litter. Oh. I don't know, man. This dog is running me like I'm a dog. How's that going, Lodane? Is it going well? Do you wear shoes in the house? No, I do not. I take off my shoes when I enter the house. I mean, sometimes. Like, it's not like if I'm getting ready or whatever, put my shoes on, I'll go walk around and do stuff, whatever. But like, I don't, when I enter my home, I take my shoes off. What's everyone else's take on that? I thought that's like sometimes I hear people say that that's like weird or strange. Is that an American thing? I don't really understand that. The shoes in the house thing. And like, sometimes I wear shoes. It's not like I'm opposed to it. Like I said. But when I enter my home though, I'm taking off my shoes. I mean, of course, during winter, that goes without saying. I think there's a 49th parallel divide in this. I think it might be, yeah. It's not weird for a little bit, but every day, all the time is. Yeah, I see people like lying down in their bed and stuff, and their shoes are on. It's like, what the fuck? What is this? What is this? Like... unless you have like an indoor shoe, it's just like a totally clean shoe that you're walking around in. But still, it just doesn't know. I don't know like why would I want to wear shoes all the time? That's the whole second question to that. Like I wear shoes when I'm going and walking around outside. When I'm in my home, I want to have some freedom here. Freedom of movement. A slipper? Yeah, we can put a slipper. I'm currently wearing flip-flops and my glasses and nothing else is hot. It sounds like it, yeah. On a number of levels. Slippers are a great in-between solution. I should become more of a slippers guy, actually. People running around barefoot is also weird, or sweaty socks. House slippers is the best solution, but bitch, I wear boots, and I'm not always taking those or other heels off just because you got carpet. I don't know. If I go into someone's house, I'm taking off my shoes. That's just how we do it here. It's just how we do it. And it's not a carpet thing. I mean, I do have a rug that really ties the room together, but I got wood floors. I'm taking off my shoes when I go inside, though.
is some guy, Rob Russo, some leftist based in Canada. I was turned on to this sick individual, and I found this.
Hello, Benny. Benny, thank you for the raid. I appreciate it. Thank you, Benny. Benny and the Dolls. Benny. I hope this stream was good today, Benny. Thank you for the raid. Welcome in, Raiders. It's me, Rob. It's nice to see you. Hello. It's nice to have you here. Okay, so Benny Raiders, here's the question that we're debating right now. You go inside your home or a stranger's home. What are you doing? You taking your shoes off when you go inside the door? When you go inside the home? Or are the shoes staying on? This is the question of the day. Me, personally, the shoes are coming off. When I enter my own home, when I enter someone else's home, I'm taking off my shoes. It seems like there's a major divide on this, though. Unless they're wearing their own shoes. I mean, I guess that's one thing. I go to a party or something like that, and people are all wearing their shoes inside. I'm going to be like, okay, well, I'll continue wearing shoes here. The shoes simply must come off. We debated this on my stream yesterday. Benny, I'm glad you're also talking about the important issues right now. We're talking about the real important issues of the day right now. I get paid so much money from Russia to talk about this stuff because it divides people. It divides people to talk about this. It sows conflict and division. Vladimir Putin pays me so much money to talk about this stuff on Twitch.tv. We're so skillfully creating civil unrest. I did not owe you feet for free just because you got a house. Disgusting behavior, unreal. I stay home for a reason. I don't know. Like I said, if I'll make an exception. I go to someone's home. I see everyone inside is wearing shoes. Okay, I'll keep my shoes on. What's wrong with socks? You can't walk around with socks? Mr. Rogers had it right. You come in, you take off your outdoor shoes and sweater, you put on your indoor shoes and sweater. I mean, I guess. I don't allow... okay, Lodane, I think this is stretching the logic here a little bit. I don't allow shirts in my house. Take all that shit off. I'm going to go ahead and say that I don't think that that's an accurate kind of analogy here. I don't think that that's an accurate analogy. I think it's different having a shoes off unwritten rule than forcing people to disrobe their like shirts and pants and whatnot. Hyperbole helps us find the boundaries of the conversation, but feet are fetishized like tits. I mean, I guess there's an element of truth to that, but like I know, okay, so I know there are feet people, feet guys. I feel like a lot of that is like ironic. Like, I feel like we talk about ironic feet stuff more than there are like actual people that really do fetishize that. Is that crazy? I don't think they're a myth. I'm not saying they're a myth, Joe. I'm not saying feet guys are a myth, okay? I know feet guys are real. I'm just saying I see more like ironic foot fetishism when I'm tooling around online than actual people that are legitimately, unironically feet people. You know? Feet gals must be a myth, yeah. No. I don't think that's a thing. Maybe it must be. I mean, people are into a wide variety of things, but that's niche, you know? That's a niche. Guests are having Rob seeing the please remove shoes and socks sign. What are all these floor level cameras for? Okay, first of all, socks is a different story. You just walk around in socks. You know, I wouldn't tell people to take off their socks. Sliding into DMs. Can I see your feet ironically? I got to admit, you know, I must admit, feet just do just nothing for me. Does not move the needle in any way. I guess some people are really into like the heels and various footwear and that kind of stuff, but like I don't know, but like I don't care. Not a foot person here, but it struck me during the Olympics, feet people are probably really into synchronized swimming for sure. You got a lot of synchronized foot movements there. Hey, Husker. I don't always wear socks. I wear stockings and pantyhose and heels and boots, you goofy bitch, says Lodane. I hope you all stock 20 pairs of various size slippers for everyone ever. Well, first of all, I don't ever have 20 people over. I mean, that's number one. So I wouldn't need to have 20 pairs of house slippers. I don't know. When I go to a gathering, a lot of the time, I guess there's a difference between like a dinner party. Okay, if you go to a dinner party, it's shoes off. I think if you go to like a house party where there's like a bunch of people tooling around, and I think that's the second time I've said tooling around, there's a bunch of people hanging out and drinking and chatting, that's probably a shoes on situation, and you just clean up the floors after. Okay? I think it depends on what kind of a gathering it is. But I'm not really talking about gatherings. This is the thing. I'm talking about like your own home. That's the main thing I'm talking about. Your own home. You come home for the day. You go in. You open the front door. Close it. What are you doing? You're just going to sit down on the sofa? You're just going to the bathroom, walking around the kitchen, that kind of stuff? What if it's a gathering of foot connoisseurs? Then it's a whole different thing, isn't it? Rob's capping. He has the feet scene from House of Dragons on repeat. That's not true. I don't. That is not accurate. This is all a Russian distraction. Again, I'm being paid by Russia to talk about this.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Lot more foot talk than I expected.
Talks to Wall. Thanks for the 45 months, tier 1. I very much appreciate all the support. Talks to Wall. Thank you. It's funny because we're doing a lot of foot talk, but also trying to demystify this whole foot guy phenomenon, which I think is a very small niche community, which I think whose power and influence gets exaggerated a little bit. I'm fascinated with this, Lodane. I generally wear house shoes, but if I'm completely out of it, I might sit at my desk with my boots and coat on for hours. Seriously, why are you inspecting my floors or some shit? I don't have a 5-second rule. Don't eat off my floors. Otherwise, the point, I don't know. I don't know what the point is. Just when I enter my home, it's just instinct. There's no rule. There's no like, this must happen. I don't really think about it. It's not something I consider. It's been my entire life. You enter the home, the shoes come off. That's all. That's just the way you do it, you know? That's just the way you do it. Rob admitting to be a total fucking freak. Bin freak 7 days a week. That's not true. That's not what I'm doing. Foot fetishism may be more common in men than in women. Researchers using a polling agency to conduct a survey of the general Belgian population in 2017 found that 76 of the 459 male respondents, 17%, and 23 of the 565 female respondents, 4%, answered agree or strongly agree to a fetish interest in feet. Interesting. I bet you drop trow in public bathrooms all the way to the ankles you freak like a 5-year-old. No, I don't do that at all. I don't do that at all. And I would say that would be different from wearing shoes in your home. Once again, I'm not sure that analogy holds water. Doing that as a power move, actually. It's how you assert dominance on all the other people in the bathroom. Oh boy, this is why this community is like no other. This is why the chit chat that we have in this community is like it's unmatched anywhere on this platform. Standing in the urinal, shitting and pissing myself with my pants around my ankles. That's how we do it. That's how we do it. I love that Aaron single-handedly started this. Yeah, whoever brought up the cosmic slop thing is the one that triggered this entire discussion. Okay, we got one in the... we've got a real one. We got a live one here. Women's feet are cute, bro. Okay, well, if that's what you're into, that's fine. You know, no judgment here. This is a judgment-free zone for this kind of freak behavior. They need to be cleaned and well taken care of. Feel a little weird even reading that, honestly. I feel a little weird even reading those words and saying that right now.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Right. Thank you for the gifted sub to our new friend, Real Pet Chicken. Gifted sub for honesty. I mean, it's just... we want people to speak their truths, even if we might find it uncomfortable, you know? Just really not for me. You know? It's really not for me. What can I say? So much happens in this chat I would absolutely never relate to another living soul. Judgment-free zone, my ass. We were all here for the anti-cat shitting ingestion rant. Okay. I guess I do judge people a little bit who willingly ingest feline fecal matter. Okay? It's my big hot take here. I don't think it's good to do that. I don't think you should do that. I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna draw a line in the cat box here on this one. Oh my gosh. Why did you make me check the Discord? Now I'm starting to feel a little uncomfortable with this. Kijiji, oh my gosh. Are we posting feet pics? No, we're not. No. No, we're not posting feet pics. We're not doing that. No. If this is not one of these things where it's like, no, don't do it, and then I'm like, secretly do it. Like, actually don't, though. Actually don't. No armpits either. Let's just move away from any of these kinds of pictures being posted. I mean, it would buy a car. I mean, if there was some kind of a market for any kind of images of my body parts, I would probably consider it, honestly. It's not like I don't need the money. I wouldn't feel good about it, though. I wouldn't feel happy about it. I wouldn't feel great about myself. And I don't think there is a market for it, so why even talk about it? No feed pics I got here. I'm already disappointed. Hildy, come on, please. Please. It's been an hour. We could shift away from objectifying body parts and discuss PIM tool instead, possibly. I think that's probably a good idea. I think it's probably a good idea to do that. Thank you, Bon Bon, for getting us back on track here. Let's just move away from this. Kira V just posted the only acceptable feet pic in the Discord. The only way, the best way to make Rob cover the news is make him so uncomfortable he has to move on. Yes, that's right. Okay, well, let's get into this then, okay? Baby steps. Baby steps into the news. At first, I thought the story was another Russiagate situation, which would have been funny. And then I heard Tim Pool was involved, and now I think it's even funnier. Yeah, so let's go back over like the way that we talked about this yesterday, okay? Because yesterday all we saw was some indictments being handed down to prevent Russia from influencing Americans and interfering in the political system. So what was the, let's do a rundown of like how we talked about this yesterday. Number one, I don't care if Russia's like influencing Americans. Why is Russia not allowed to influence people's opinions, influence Americans through news stations like RT or whatever? Why not? You know, there's lots of like big money from both domestically and internationally that's devoted to shaping people's opinions. Why do we care when certain people do it and not care when certain people do it? Number one. Number two, this is exactly what America does around the world and has for decades and decades and decades, manipulates people's opinions in like nations and countries and societies they're trying to destabilize. You know? They do that through media. They do that through the whole NGO, think tank, industrial complex, you know, funding media outlets, funding like extremist groups, funding dissident groups, you know? This is, America does this around the world constantly, all the time, and has for many, many decades. So there's an element of hypocrisy as well. You know? Not only do I not really care if ultimately if Russia is like funding American conservative influencers or whoever it is, but also like let's be clear about the fact that the number one nation that engages in this exact kind of behavior and has for many years is the United States of America. It would be one thing, like I said, if America was taking steps to protect itself from this kind of influence while not engaging in that exact behavior around the world. Then it's like, okay, well, you're allowed to take steps to protect yourself, right? When Venezuela or when Bolivia or Nicaragua or Cuba or China or DPRK take steps to prevent Americans from like influencing their people's opinions and values through media and through think tanks and all this stuff, we say, yeah, of course they are. And we say that, but then America says, well, they're cracking down on press freedom. They're cracking down on freedom of expression, this kind of stuff. So that's it. If it was America just taking steps to prevent this kind of thing from going on in America, they're free to do that, obviously. But there's a sort of element of hypocrisy about this. Or Georgia, exactly. Like Nicaragua was the example we talked about yesterday. Georgia is a perfect example right now. What's happening right now? Not only on other countries, but on us as well. Exactly. Hello, Radio Free Asia, Europe, Liberty, etc. Like we were saying yesterday, America gives billions of dollars to Israel and Mossad. Mossad and Israel organizes like troll farms and influence operations in our political system, our political affairs, like AIPAC, and then they do psyops to our own populations. So we're paying a foreign government to do psyops to us, right? So that's why this whole thing is a little bit weird to fixate on when Russia does this, or when China does it, or when Venezuela does it, or whatever. But, so that was kind of our stance on this yesterday. After the stream, I saw news dropped about these specific conservative influencers like Tim Pool, like Benny Johnson, that have been, through this like cutout company, taking hundreds of thousands of dollars from a like Russian-funded outlet to promote their content. And I want to be able to talk about this, talk about the hypocrisy, talk about all this kind of nuance, while also recognizing that these people are dipshits, and that we don't need to like defend them or defend their actions or their viewpoints. And I don't know if this counts as a defense, okay? You can let me know if you think this counts as an actual defense. I would look into like the evidence of this. I'm not sure anyone's getting a list of talking points from like some kind of Russian intermediary to promote. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. What I think, and this is what America does around the world, is just that Russia sees these people having this kind of like destabilizing effect, talking about these kinds of issues, and then they just pump money into these things to widen these kinds of fissures, right? This is exactly what America does. So it's not necessarily that they're paying people to say specific things, but they find people that are saying the things that they want to promote, and they put money into it, if that makes sense. I don't know if this falls into defending them, but I do think that Tim Pool is dumb enough to be accidentally a foreign asset. I mean, this is the funniest thing about, like, this is how the right-wing media ecosystem works. This is why these fucking guys don't even question it when someone comes along and says, like, I'm from some, like, random media company. Do you want $400K a week to do a couple of videos that we're going to repost? And these guys are just like, sure, because this is how right-wing media works. There's billions and billions of dollars floating around from all kinds of unaccountable people. It's not just Russia, but it's like these oil and fracking billionaires. It's like it's industry, like these titans of industry. This is how right-wing media works. If you promote these kind of viewpoints, anti-climate science, LGBTQIA plus rights, anti-regulation, anti-taxes, there's billions of dollars that people are going to be like, hey, this guy's great. Give this guy a grant. Give this guy some money. Anti-Last Jedi discourse. No, that was correct, though. This is one area where I might overlap with some of these folks, but for totally different reasons, similar to Russia and Ukraine. I share certain opinions about Russia and Ukraine, but I come to these conclusions from totally different directions. People like Tim Pool and Benny Johnson are talking about funding Ukraine and not doing that because it's like woke and gay. And I don't think there's anything woke and gay about it. I just don't support NATO proxy wars because I think if you're on the left, that's just like a basic position that you should hold. Not supporting NATO proxy wars that get hundreds of thousands of people killed needlessly. Yeah, it's Russia money instead of the Heritage Foundation. But again, when it's Iran, when it's when it's Israel, when it's like one of our allies, it's okay. It's okay to do that. How much is Putin paying you to besmirch the good name of The Last Jedi? The Last Jedi was not good, Dakadune. It's not good. It's not a good movie. But again, I'm coming to that from a different point of analysis, as these right-wing guys are just like, it's because of like DEI. That's why it's bad. It's funny though, these are the same hogs that justify executing the Rosenbergs. Exactly. Like, I think, and I don't really support people being executed for being unlicensed foreign agents, but if these people do support that, then maybe that should be applied equally. There's a quick $20 right there. So, I just showed up in my account right away. They hated Rob for he told the truth. Anyway, so I think that's a big part of this discussion. It's not just about Russia. Like, there's all kinds of foreign money floating around in our media ecosystem supporting these right-wing guys. The question is, like, when do we care about that? Do we only care when it's Russia or Iran or whatever? Or is that something that we should care about all the time? I think we should care about it all the time. Tim Pool thinks that Ukraine is an independent country that is our worst enemy because they're influencing U.S. policy. We think that Ukraine is a proxy state, that the current U.S. government was created by the U.S. The current government was created by the U.S. Exactly, yes. And Tim Pool also was like at the Euromaidan and like went there and was like a Ukraine guy. He was like a Ukraine independence guy. So it is interesting that his viewpoint on that has kind of flipped over the years. Is he getting talking points, or is that just kind of a natural evolution? I don't know. We don't know. If Americans are getting politically influenced by Tim Pool, that's a skill issue. Well, as always, I remain completely perplexed about Tim Pool's success in this space in the first place. He has bad ideas. He's not funny or cool or charismatic. He just sucks. There's no way to explain it. Yeah, Falun Gong. When Falun Gong does it, it's okay. But when the CCP does it, or the CPC rather, I always get them confused. When Falun Gong does it, it's fine, but when the CPC does it, it's fine. And Falun Gong, just like Israel and a lot of these other foreign influence ops, are ultimately funded by the U.S. as well. Like, that's where the U.S. funds these kinds of groups, like dissident groups, Falun Gong, Israel. America gives them money, and they put money into doing psyops to the American population. So... good old blowback. Yeah. Well, let's take a look at a news story about this. Tim Pool has already backpedaled and pulled a full 180, saying he supports Ukraine, saying it's our greatest ally and that we should fund the Ukraine war. Exactly. And that's how you know these people don't have actual convictions, except owning the libs. As soon as people start being like, hey, are you an unregistered foreign agent? It's like, I love Ukraine. I love Ukraine. Please give them more money. NATO. I'm a big NATO guy now. Tim does seem to be crapping his pants. He's sweating his beanie off right now. Let's take a look at this Rising segment on this.
In a bombshell indictment, U.S. prosecutors allege a media company linked to conservative influencers who regularly reach millions, including Benny Johnson, Tim Pool, and Dave Rubin, was secretly funded by Russian state media employees whose goal was to amplify U.S. domestic division and spread Russian propaganda.
Yeah, this is what Nomiki's up to.
General Merrick Garland breaking down the indictment.
We allege that as part of that effort, RT and its employees, including the defendants, implemented a nearly $10 million scheme to fund and direct a Tennessee-based company to publish and disseminate content deemed favorable to the Russian government. To implement this scheme, the defendants directed the company to contract with U.S.-based social media influencers to share this
Who is
content
funding the Rising? Is
on
a good
their
question. I don't know.
platforms. The subject matter and content of many of the videos published by the company were often consistent with Russia's interest in amplifying U.S. domestic divisions in order to weaken U.S. opposition to core Russian interests, particularly its ongoing war in Ukraine. The company never disclosed to the influencers or to their millions of followers its ties to RT and the Russian government.
Russia.
Is that the ultimate like conservative dipshit face that he's just paused him on? And so here's one thing. Like yesterday, I argued in favor of the ability of Russia to have outlets like RT that should be able to be broadcast in the United States. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with RT or Telesur or Press TV or any of these or CGTV or whatever it is, any of these like foreign funded media operations to operate in America. Again, this is what America does around the world. And this is obviously a little bit different from that. This is a little bit different. It's a little bit more nefarious. And it's obviously like through this kind of intermediary funding these like right-wing dipshits, which is, again, what America does around the world. This is exactly word for word, precisely what America does around the world in nations that it's trying to destabilize. So you'll forgive me for not feeling too like sympathetic about this. I'm going to get out my tiny little violin over America being a victim of this influence operation. But I think we should also acknowledge that these people are extremely stupid morons with bad ideas and still laugh at their downfall with all these caveats and all this kind of like nuance to it. This guy looks straight out of Verhoeven World. It does, yeah. That's my nuanced take. Okay? It's my nuanced take about this. Thing is, pool is massively popular. I agree. And that's not because of Russia. You know? That is not because of Russia. That's a fully homegrown domestic issue. The fact that Tim Pool has a huge audience. And like, what's to blame for that? You know, YouTube, Google. There's a lot of money that's like going behind this. It's not just coming from Russia.
Now, to be clear, the U.S. Justice Department does not allege any wrongdoing on the part of the influencers themselves. Instead, it's accusing these two employees of Russia Today.
Is the Russia connection fully made up, or is there some rando Russian billionaire funding them? I mean, I guess they'll get further into this in this story here, Dakadoon. But no, it's not made up. From what I can see, there's like someone from RT having some like cutout company in America funding these like right-wing influencers and promoting their content and giving them huge sums of money to make these kinds of videos. Yeah, I'm going to watch this after, Dimitri. The thing about Putin and Kamala is quite funny. Russia is famously the only nation that puts funds into foreign media during election cycles. Never occurred before. And Brandon, like I'm saying, if you think it's a problem that Russia's putting money into spreading disinformation and certain viewpoints in America, in election cycles or not in election cycles, I think that's fine to be against that. But you should also be against the United States of America doing that, which is something that it does around the world and has for many, many, many years. It's like it's a central function of what the United States intelligence community does around the world. This is my nuanced take about this. And also, we can talk about this nuance while also acknowledging that Tim Pool and Benny Johnson and Lauren Southern and all these ghouls are bad people who I think it's funny when bad things happen to them.
Of funneling $10 million to a Tennessee-based media company that created Russia-friendly content, what they describe as Russia-friendly content. The indictment did not name the company that was widely believed to be called Tenet Media. Podcaster
calling it one
Tim
word,
Pool
Tenet.
released a statement on X, writing in part, quote, Should these allegations prove true, I, as well as the other personalities and commentators, were deceived and were victims. I cannot speak for anyone else at the company as to what they do or to what they are instructed. The Culture War podcast was licensed by Tenet Media. It existed well before any license agreement with Tenet, and it will continue to exist after any such agreement expires. The only change with the agreement was that the location of the live broadcast moved to Tenet's YouTube channel. I and TCW never produced any content for Tenet Media. He also added, Putin is a scumbag, Russia sucks. Meanwhile, Benny Johnson
Russia
said,
sucks
quote,
donkey balls,
a year ago,
is what he
a
said,
media
actually.
startup pitched my company to provide content as an independent contractor. Our lawyer negotiated a standard arm's length deal, which was later terminated. We are disturbed
I
by
could
the
use it as well,
allegations in
Dimitri.
today's
I
indictment,
talk about,
which make
again, I talk about Ukraine and NATO and that kind of stuff. Why has no one reached out to me about this?
clear that myself and other influencers were victims in this alleged scheme. My lawyers will handle anyone who states or suggests otherwise. Dave Rubin said, quote, these allegations clearly show that I and other commentators were the victims of this scheme. I knew nothing, absolutely nothing about any of this fraudulent activity, period. Garland also announced sanctions for what he says are Russian government-sponsored attempts to manipulate U.S. public opinion ahead of the November election. Let's watch.
In a separate enforcement action, the Justice Department is seizing 32 internet domains that the Russian government and the Russian-sponsored actors have used to engage in a covert campaign to interfere and influence the outcome of our country's elections. As alleged in our court filings, President Vladimir Putin's inner circle, including Sergei Kirilnikov, directed Russian public relations companies to promote disinformation and state-sponsored narratives as part of a program to influence the 2024 U.S. presidential election. An internal planning document created by the Kremlin states that as a goal of the campaign is securing Russia's preferred outcome in the election.
Garland added that Russians were creating websites filled with Russian propaganda.
When I hear this, it's just 2016 again. And I get that takeaway, especially when the whole Russiagate thing got so like promoted so heavily. I will say there's a small difference. Like all 2016 amounted to was like Russia buying Facebook memes. There is in this case a more definite concerted link between money coming from this Russian media organization and being funneled to specific people. Like that's more of an actual story. You know, I will say. And by the way, if Tim Pool and Benny Johnson are doing treason against the United States of America, that's one of the cooler things that I would find about them. I don't like either of these guys. If they are doing treason against the United States, I think it's good to do that because the United States is bad. It's the great Satan. It's the largest exporter of terrorism in the world. And I think it's good to do treason against the United States in theory. Not that I would recommend anyone in the chat do that because it's a crime and it's illegal, obviously. Famously, AIPAC and Saudi lobbies don't exist. I mean, this is it. This is what it comes down to, right? It's like focusing on this specific story when you've got these extremely powerful foreign influence operations that we know of going on all the time. You know, whether it's Saudi, whether it's Israel, or any other kind of like American domestic ally that's engaging in this kind of behavior. It happens all the time and domestically as well. There's billions of dollars floating around this right-wing media ecosystem. I've had press TV reporters on my show. I didn't get any Iranian bucks. I fucked up. Yeah, I've had Telesur reporters on this show. 100K a week, Neurotrek, I know. Seriously. It's good work if you can get it. The whole thing is dumb and a waste of time. Why loudly announce over and over that U.S. elections and therefore the U.S. are weak and vulnerable? The whole foreign interference narrative is a massive own goal, unforced error. I mean, that's an interesting stance as well. I just think it's funny that it's these absolute morons like Tim Pool. You know? It's so funny to talk about like dating, like Tim Pool's dating advice or whatever. Like Russia's got to step up their foreign influence game if this is the best that they've got. We're going to fund Benny Johnson and Tim Pool. Like, Jesus Christ. insane money in tankies or they're looking how to afford a car. I'm trying to buy a 2009 Honda Fit right now and I'm struggling. Manage to fool the right sharpest minds. Well, that's what I find really funny about it. There's just so much money floating around in this ecosystem from billionaires that they don't think anything of it. When some random company approaches them, hey, can we pay you like $400K a week to do some video content? They're like, yeah, sure, because that's how it is to be in right-wing media. There's a lot of money. There's a lot of money floating around from all kinds of nefarious sources. They don't check. They don't look into it. They don't think about it. Who cares who it is? Just, yeah, we're going to take that money.
Created by the Kremlin. The sites were designed to trick Americans into thinking the news was coming from a major outlet like the Washington Post or Fox News. Per Kremlin documents, they were, quote, bogus stories disguised as newsworthy events. They also created fake social media profiles. Now, beyond seizing the 32 internet domains, the Biden administration also sanctioned 10 individuals and entities as part of the alleged propaganda effort. Okay.
I will say as well, it's important to point out, a lot of the reason that these people are being singled out is because of Ukraine stuff. And this is where we get a little problematic here. Because it's like, no, we don't like Tim Pool. We don't like Benny Johnson. We don't like any of these absolute moron dipshits. Okay? Let's get that out of the way. But it does promote a certain idea, which is that anyone that's saying, let's not give billions of dollars to Ukraine is a Russian-funded useful idiot. Which is... I don't think that's a good thing to believe, because I don't think we should be giving billions of dollars to Ukraine. I don't think we should be supporting NATO proxy wars in Ukraine that get hundreds of thousands of people killed and wreck the country and turn the whatever remains of Ukraine into like this neoliberal fire sale. I don't think it's good to do that, and I don't need to take any Russian money to come to that conclusion. This is, I think, something a little bit problematic that's happening, where people take the fact that they don't like these people and they justifiably, rightfully don't like them, but this is all being used to delegitimize a viewpoint, which is, I think, is important to actually discuss. This whole thing about Ukraine and Russia. It's like it's getting the idea that like to be supportive of Russia in any way is the only people that hold this idea are Russian-funded right-wing media influencers. And if you don't want to be confused with those people, you can never say one positive thing about Russia. You can never have any kind of nuance when you talk about this or anything like that. That, I think, is a little bit dangerous. It's dangerous to our free speech. It's dangerous to our discourse. I got my anti-Ukraine stance from NBC and CNN, frankly, because I have fucking eyes and ears. Yeah, it's, again, like we're on the left. Let's just not support NATO. Let's not support an obvious NATO regime change effort and proxy war. You know, let's just not do that. We don't need to even think about it all that much. We're on the left. It should be just like a reflex, you know? Let's not support this NATO proxy war.
Lots to get into here. So this was some big news on social media yesterday that these commentators, Tim Pool, Dave Rubin, Benny Johnson, had been making YouTube videos, and it turns out that the company that was paying for them misrepresented to them their origins. If you read the indictment, they actually, like, they asked, well, wait, who wants to do this? Who are we doing business with? And the conspirators made up a fake person who's like a Swiss banker or a French, some European businessman.
European mysterious.
And they wanted to know, and they made a fake business resume for this guy. And it actually tipped off one of the, I can't tell from the indictment which right-wing person it was, but because it said in like the business, like this is like a LinkedIn profile type thing, it said wants to spread social justice. And they're like, wait a minute, why do you want to,
Swedish chef.
Why are you investing in
He said Ergen, Björgen, Giergen, Ukraine, and handed me a sack full of ruples.
Commentary if you want to spread social justice. But anyway, it went through. That business person did not exist. Like they were routinely Googling in their emails to the Tim Pool and others. Like they would Google, wait, what time is it right now supposed to be in Europe to make sure this is consistent with our story. So anyway, now I know the media is going to go crazy on this in terms of, this shows the deep penetration of Russia into our discourse. I'm going to be a little skeptical of that. I mean, they were not being told what to say by Russia. They were, they have views on, you can disagree with them, but they have their views on Ukraine and on the, broader global conflict that happen to align with what this funders wanted, and they deceived them about the source of the funding. So fraud can, to my mind, should absolutely be prosecuted. But the victims are, it's actually Tim Pool, like he says in the statement.
I think there's a lot to unpack here. In their memo, they did push different messaging. If anybody's
it would
ever
be
watched
interesting to
Tim
see
Pool,
when Pool flipped on Ukraine.
You'll know
Again, Pool went to the Euromaidan. Pool was like that's kind of his origin, right? He was like an Occupy guy. He was into that kind of world, the kind of like anarchist, pseudo-anarchist world. That's how he got started. And went to the Euromaidan and was there for that and was like a pro-Ukraine independence person who somewhere along the way has flipped. Did he just flip because that became like an anti-Biden thing in the conservative media ecosystem? Maybe. Maybe that's why. Is there something more to it? I don't know. We don't know. He dove in beanie first.
Not a foreign policy expert, but suddenly he seemed to understand intricacies of the Russia-Ukrainian war and was very critical of Ukraine and Vladimir Zelensky and these.
I've been critical of. I'm not an expert in foreign policy either, but I
am an expert.
Critical about whether Russia invaded and it is bad and Putin is an authoritarian and they should not have done that. I also want to reach a peace deal so that the war ends, and that's going to involve frustration on both sides. I don't think that makes me pro-Putin.
Right, but the memo that was...
I think we can skip the rest of this discussion. I feel comfortable skipping the rest of the analysis and the discussion there. Poole was handing out cookies out of his beanie at the Euromaidan. That's right, yeah. Where are my bookmarks here? Let's look at this. I haven't looked at this clip yet. Here's a clip from Timcast. This tweet says, and I asked, does this sound like someone being paid by Russia to you? Let's hear what Tim's stance is on this.
They know it. But I don't know that it matters anymore. This is psychotic. Ukraine is the enemy of this country. Ukraine is our enemy, being funded by the Democrats. I will stress this again. One of the greatest enemies of our nation right now is Ukraine. They are expanding this war.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about Ukraine. I think that's a weird take. I think that's a weird take on being against the war in Ukraine. I don't think, that's my whole thing. When I talk about Ukraine, I don't think Ukraine is our enemy. I think the people of Ukraine are being fucked by the West and by NATO. And there's a certain section of extreme right-wing Ukrainian nationalists that have been driving that. I would never go as far as to say that Ukraine is like the enemy of the country. The one reason that I'm against this is because NATO and the United States and Canada and these Western countries have completely fucked Ukraine, no matter where the people live in the country. So I feel like that's a weird stance. I feel like that's a really weird stance, a weird way to look at that.
Now, don't get me wrong, I know.
You're supposed to be a bit more subtle.
Got criminal elements of the U.S. government pushing them and guiding them and telling them what to do.
It's funny the way that they took it as this like Biden thing as well, when Trump fully funded all these Ukrainians as well. They frame it as this like Democrat thing. It's become this like, and this is why I think a lot of conservative influencers are critics of the Ukraine war, is precisely because it's this like partisan brain rot thing. The fucking conservatives supported Ukraine. Trump supported Ukraine. Who was in that clip when those U.S. politicians are going to give funding and arms to these Azov guys and be like, we got to get you to kill as many Russians as possible? It's John McCain and Lindsey Graham and Amy Klobuchar. Support for Ukraine is totally bipartisan. It's not this liberal Biden thing, even if it might have become that as like a wedge issue.
Ukraine is now accused a German warrant issued for blowing up the Nord Stream pipeline, triggering this conflict. Ukraine is the greatest threat to this nation and to the world. We should rescind all funding and financing, pull out all military support, and we should apologize to Russia.
See, that is an insane take. I think that's an insane way to frame this conflict and to talk about this conflict. Is kind of hilarious. So yeah, he is laying it on a little thick, isn't he? There's no real like morals or principles that are animating this. It's purely this like partisan anti-Biden thing that's animating this. Apologize to Putin, Malaka. That's right. So it's interesting, right? It's interesting. Did he just flip because this has become a conservative talking point? Or is there some kind of like influence going on here? And is he just a big dumbass who's not able to talk about these things because he's stupid? That's the question. Like, I don't necessarily believe that these guys are getting told what to say. Like I said, I think it's a case of Russia seeing people out there saying things that they want to support and then just giving them money, which is, again, exactly what America does around the world. That is a really insane and funny way to criticize the U.S. war in Ukraine. He must have known getting that much money from one source. Well, Dakadoon, this is kind of what I was saying as well, and this is not meant as a defense to them, but it's like, this is right-wing media. There's just billions of dollars in dark money floating around to promote these kinds of viewpoints. So I do find it like somewhat believable that someone like Tim Pool is just like, oh, you want to give me $400K to do videos? Yeah, whatever, sure. Like, because that's when you work in right-wing media, those are the kind of opportunities that you get. It's not like Tim Pool says anything smart enough to be fed to him about foreign ops. It's just the simple-minded shit he usually does. Yeah, exactly. In the indictment, there was a mention of incentive bonuses. So maybe. We can take a look. Maybe we can find more information here. A new DOJ indictment alleges that RT employees covertly funded and directed a U.S. company with $10 million in order to push pro-Russia content. The company is based in Tennessee. And there's a Canadian entity, those Tenet Media. Founder one's Canadian company. Wow. Canada is the puppet master behind all this. IIRC, from an article I read today, the company will get directions to have someone cover an attack done by the US or Ukraine when it was really a terrorist attack. Then one of the contributors will step up and say they'll cover it. Insane that Lauren Chen is the kingpin here. It is insane. This whole thing is insane. This whole thing is a very funny story. The indictment specifies that two of the people who work for this Tennessee company, Tenet, were deceived, meaning they didn't know that the Russian government was running an influence op. Also worked together to deceive two U.S. online commentators, Dave Rubin and Tim Pool are the ones, respectively have over 2.4 million and 1.3 million YouTube subscribers. They contracted with Commentator 1 and 2 to produce videos using Commentator 1 and 2's own names and leveraging their existing audiences for license and publication by U.S. company. Worked together to mask U.S. company's true source of funding by falsely portraying to Commentator 1 and 2 that U.S. company was sponsored by a private investor named Edward Grigorian. That's it. That's all it takes for these right-wing guys. No. All this money is coming from this guy, Edward Grigorian. In truth and in fact, Grigorian was a fictional... it doesn't say. They created this fictional American, Edward Grigorian. Here, he's going to give you $10 million to make this content. They're like, no problem. Sounds great. Sounds great. I have to say that my brain is still in recovery mode after taking in so many high-level important ideas. Me too. On or about February 15th, 24, Helena Shudra shared with U.S. company a video of a well-known U.S. political commentator visiting a grocery store in Russia. Posted the video in the producer Discord channel. Later that day, producer 1 privately messaged founder 2 on Discord. They want me to post this, referencing the video that she had posted, but it just feels like overt shilling. Founder 2 replied that founder 1 thinks we should put it out there. Producer 1 acquiesced, responding, all right, I'll put it out tomorrow. It's funny how little it takes. Well, the people paying us millions of dollars said we should do it. It's like, okay. All right. Why not? What's going to happen? We're going to be indicted for foreign interference? Oh, wow. I don't know if this is still here. But it's a gold check Twitter account, Tenet Media, with all the stars are here in the banner pic. That face when you feel it feels like an overt shilling for a foreign government. The gang gets indicted for foreign interference. That's the thing. I think we can talk about this with nuance and talk about maybe how some of it might be damaging to our discourse, especially when it comes to talking about certain important issues such as the war in Ukraine. While also laughing at these morons. I think we can do both. I don't think it's mutually exclusive. I think we can hold both ideas in our minds at the same time. The write-up on Edward Gregorian they sent Dave Rubin is funny for how generic it is, like maybe not immediately obviously fake, but one step up from that. Onyx, do you have a link? It's okay to make fun of foreign interference here because we know Rob isn't paid by China or North Korea, so his shilling is from the heart. I do this shit totally pro bono. It's only the people in this community. And if anyone in this community is Chinese or Russian or North Korean or whatever, that hasn't been disclosed to me. So... Rob, I wouldn't mind if you did some more content on that dastardly moose and squirrel pair. It was just revealed that Twitch was getting like UAE money. It could be in the same exact situation as Tim Pool. Well, this is the thing. It's like there's a lot of foreign cash floating around funding media operations. This is not a new phenomenon. It's certainly not only Russia that does it. Here's the when commentators asked who was funding the project, the Russians made some persona and sent this shitty PDF of Edward Gregorian. This is the fake Edward Gregorian profile. Experienced finance professional and investor, deeply engaged in business and philanthropy, leveraging skills and resources to drive positive impact, supporting a range of organizations worldwide with a dynamic presence mainly in Brussels and London, engaging in personal and professional pursuits in each location with a focus on poverty alleviation, championing free speech, and advocating for social justice causes. Born in Brussels in 1975, Masters of Accounting, financial analyst and consultant. An accomplished finance professional, Mr. Krikorian has observed multiple instances of misrepresentations and biases in mainstream media, many of which had the potential to result in into poor investment outcomes of his clients. Yada yada yada. Then they looked at this little PDF and they were like, "I'm sold." They were like, "I'm totally sold. Seems legit." Why is the face blurred if it's supposed to be a write-up on him? It's a great question. It's a very good question, and I don't have an answer for you. I'm scrolling through Getty Images and haven't found that photo there yet, but there are so many stock photos that look almost identical. It's amazing how low effort it is. I think that's what's really funny about it. It is so low effort. Like they really didn't even have to try. Because again, this is how the right-wing media ecosystem works.
We try to...
Here's one Emma Vigeland went on Tim's show. Hello, Squatch. What's up?
Part of what we do is we try to respond to some of the right-wing ecosystem on the internet because there's a vacuum truly left. You guys have a lot more money than the left-wing media space. We just try to combat it a little bit.
I think the issue with that, I can understand why you'd say that, but it looks like this is a great way to kick off the show, actually, like the start of the culture war. I actually don't think whatever this space has more money because this is a fractured independent space of varying ideologies.
Tim, I'm in your compound right now.
Yeah, I'm rich. I mean, Sam's had way more subscribers than me for a long, long time.
Right.
And he just like hit, and I'm not saying this to be like mean. I'm saying if he doesn't know how to turn revenue, the issue is more so you need like a COO or somebody who's going to say, here's how we provide something to a market that generates revenue so we can expand our business. So we're better at that here, I suppose, is the easy way to put it.
Well, no, because what you say here is more attractive to investors and advertisers. I mean, we're basically only members and okay.
We have no investors. We have no investors, says Tim. Interesting. Sam definitely doesn't get $100K a week from a private funder. And again, I just want to keep reiterating, it's not just about this like tenant media and Russia and this kind of stuff.
To mark up the size of the account.
Hello, I am real Belgian businessman, very successful. I love free speech and would be very interested in Ukraine's dangerous relationship with the USA. Looking forward to working with you, smiley face.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you for the 200 ruples for that. But this is what I mean. It's not just about Russia. It isn't just about Russia. Like there's billions of dollars floating around this ecosystem. Like the whole Daily Wire and all that stuff is basically like the PR wing of the fracking industry. You know? That's what's hilarious about these right-wing Tim Pool being like, well, we just do a better job managing our money. Like it's such bullshit. Only benefactors, no investors. That's right. An investment means they're trying to get money back on their return. They're not getting money back from that investment. They're getting their viewpoint that they want to promote out there to people. That's the big difference. They're not making an investment. An investment means you're trying to get back some kind of profit. Sam should have just gotten a COO. That's it. That's all he had to do. It's because of Matt Leck and his avocado toast from the commissary. That's right. Yes. That half pipe is playing dividends. I mean, there's all of this too, all of Tim's obsession with the Civil War. When you think about like why these like certain individuals are being given this money and the idea it's about promoting division and like widening these fissures. Tim Pool always talking about like the Civil War. We're in a civil war. Anytime the Democrats do anything that his billionaire funders don't like, Civil War. Dozens of examples of him using this kind of rhetoric. This is funny as well. The Guardian did a piece on this and was like, U.S. conservative influencers say they're victims of Russian disinformation campaign. And they just put this random guy with a beanie in it. They're just like, this guy has a beanie. I think that's Tim Pool. And it's not even him. Within a month of becoming a Russian agent and starting a pod called Culture War, Tim Pool was advocating for a civil war in the U.S. over bigoted lies about trans people. March 22nd, 2023. It's going to be funny in 100 years when they're like, a major catalyst for the second civil war is when Democrats demanded the right to sterilize children and amputate healthy body parts, but faced opposition from Republicans. Immediately after starting this podcast that was being promoted by this Tenet Media. Very interesting. Very interesting. Here's another Tim Pool take that I think we should take a look at right now.
We were talking about crime and punishment, and Donald Trump needs to go after these people. Laura was saying, take the gloves off, stop being nice to them, fuck them. And I said, they should all be arrested. There should be lists. Laura said, we should give anyone who committed treason the death penalty, and then the show gone. Because YouTube doesn't allow calls for the death penalty. That's why they deleted our episode of Alex Jones the first time it happened 3 years ago. And he didn't even say anything crazy. He said, I agree with Bill Gates. We should have firing squads. And he later was like, I meant vaccines, line them up, give them shots, get them. He was it's like I was making a joke. I was sarcastically saying,
I'm not going to pull an Alex Jones. I stand by everything I said. I'm not sorry for anything I said. I truly believe that there may be different interpretations of what it means to commit treason. I truly believe that the people who engaged in the coup against Donald Trump and have caused civil unrest and chaos in our country for the last 7 years through Crossfire Hurricane and also through these what I believe are illegal witch hunts against the president of the United States right now, unconstitutional witch hunts against Donald Trump. They are treasonous. They are traitors. They should get the death penalty when they are jailed in the next Trump administration. And I'm not going to apologize for what I said. I, was not trying to get your stream taken down, but my belief is held by millions of Americans. And
you're saying
I really do believe that
when they are arrested or when they're indicted, arrested,
and they have a trial
and convicted.
Yes.
Should they be found to have committed treason by a jury of their peers, you say death penalty.
Absolutely.
Do you think?
Absolutely.
Well, listen, like I said before, I don't personally think that you should get the death penalty for doing treason against the United States of America. I think the United States of America is a bad place. It's a bad country that does a lot of evil things around the world. And I think it's okay to do treason against the United States personally. That's my personal opinion. if Tim Pool and his guests disagree with that and think that there should be major repercussions, that's their opinion. I guess that's their opinion. I don't happen to agree, but if that's what they think, it's their right to have that opinion, that there should be major repercussions up to and including the death penalty for engaging in this kind of activity. I'm starting to torture people with Tim Pool clips, but it is interesting. It is interesting. It's interesting, isn't it? We got laws in this here country. Does conspiring with another country count as treason? I mean, I guess so. Again, I don't think that should be that serious of a crime. If Tim Pool disagrees, well, he disagrees. Who am I? Who am I to argue with Tim Pool and his guests' stances about these kinds of issues? I'm sorry for the Laura Loomer jump scare. I wasn't aware when I started that clip. I wasn't aware that she was going to be on there. Folks, I'll just remind people again, if you do want to support this program, it is September. 9 subs to go to get to the goal. If you enjoy this content, I'm not getting funded by Russia, Iran, Venezuela, Nicaragua, Bolivia, China, DPRK, or any of these places. I'm receiving no funding from any of these places. This show is entirely funded by the listeners. No, the fracking industry, no, the telecom industry, no funding from any kind of major industrial powerhouse or any foreign nation. Didn't say Lebanon. That's true. Did not say Lebanon. But if you do want to support this program, please do so. I got 9 subs to go, trying to hustle and grind this month to get back to where I was at. If you can, please subscribe. It's September. Batch gift subs are currently on sale, as are upscaling your subscription from 1 month to 3 to 6 months. And also brand new subs on discount as well if you're new to the community. Please subscribe, help support this program, help support the work that I do here on Twitch. I do appreciate it a whole lot. And it makes me smile. Early we got a couple smiles earlier. The Triangle is funded thanks to the support of chatters like you. Rob, I think I need to disclose that my money comes from a secret group of Yugoslavian government loyalists. Well, I mean, I am a known Titoist as well, and I fully am comfortable with that. I'm proud to support the pro-Tito mentality. Even though he was bitter enemies with our man Enver Hoxha. I'm trying to bring this called bipartisanship. I'm trying to bring people together. The Titoists and the Hojes. This is how we win. This is how we win, when we set aside our differences. Reaching across the aisle. Yes, yes. And don't forget the Bezos bucks from Prime. I never do. I never forget. The Bezos bucks. Or does anyone else want to support this program? If you got Twitch Prime, again, Twitch Prime, totally free of charge to subscribe. If you've got a free Prime sub, only 9 subs to go, folks. Only 9 measly little subs to go. Remember, September, batch subs on sale right now.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
And David, thank you for the gifted sub. Very first gifted sub in this channel from David. Thank you, David. And
you can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
And thank you, Chaos the Gardener, for the gifted sub as well. Very cool. Thank you to you both. Only 7 little subs to go now. Only 7 little tiny subs to go. Measly little subs. Yep. It is a little unclear whether I'm going to be able to do the show tomorrow. I was really hoping to do this show this whole week. It's a little unclear whether I'm going to be able to do it tomorrow. I got this car situation. I'm trying to get a car. And I'm going to be a little preoccupied with that tomorrow. I would love to be able to just work that all out tomorrow and have it all done and dusted and figured out by tomorrow. Not so sure that that's what's going to happen. So, if I can do the show tomorrow, I would be happy to. No, there wasn't a show on Tuesday either. I've been working on some stuff as well. I will try and do the show tomorrow, but I can't guarantee that I will. I'm going in the morning to this car lot to check out this car. I'm going to bring it for a pre-purchase inspection to see if there's anything like seriously wrong with it, which I'm sure there will be. And then we're going to see whether this car is going to be purchased or not. Live stream the negotiations. I'm so bad at this shit. I am so bad. Gooning is on its way out, being replaced by Batchick, buying multiple Twitch subs during September. This is your chance to get in on this hot new trend. And remember, you can also donate by tipping. You can use that link to tip in the chat. Really, really do appreciate all the generous and beloved tippers out there as well. That is another way you can support the content that I do here on Twitch.tv. Honda Fits are great. I did have problems with needing to change out my spark plugs and coils a lot, which is very expensive in shop. Very cheap if you learn to do it on your own. It is unlikely I'm going to be learning how to do any of that stuff on my own. I'll be the first to admit, I'm not a car guy at all. I am not at all a car guy.
She'll go 300 hectares on a single tank of kerosene.
What country is this car from?
It no longer exists, but take her for a test drive, and you'll agree. Zagrebebnym zloty gdiev. Put it in H!
That's gonna be me. That's gonna be me tomorrow. I did have to laugh at this. Like, listen, you don't have to like the guy. And again, the Russian government does a lot of things that I think is real bad, okay? The Russian government does a lot of things that I don't like. Vladimir Putin does a lot. He's bad, as I've talked about many times. Putin bad. One thing that he's good at doing, though, is trolling people. And he does it, it's very funny in this clip. And look, the interviewer knows, too. The interviewer knows he's fucking around.
Если можно так сказать, был действующий президент, господин Байден. Вот он, его сняли с гонки, но он рекомендовал всем своим, значит, сторонникам поддержать госпожу Харрис. Ну вот и мы тоже так сделаем, будем ее поддерживать. Это, во-первых, а во-вторых...
Разовещали, значит, надо, да?
Volume up, I can't, it's really low, this. It's really low, the volume.
Во-вторых, она так выразительно...
She has such an expressive and infectious laugh. It shows she's doing well.
Это говорит о том, что у нее все хорошо. Ну, я же говорил.
You know, I'm not going to sit here and say that sometimes you have to hand it to him. I would never say that you've got to hand it to him, but like, you know? You know what I mean? You know what I mean, chat? That Russian dry wit. They do. There's no one that does it like them. It's true. I swear to God, you're the only streamer who doesn't know there are more than one sound channel, and clearly one of them is turned way down. I'll confiscate your poutine. Don't confiscate my poutine. Please don't do that. Have you seen some in Ukraine say they're safer in the West? How about now? God. I mean, it's hard to argue with that. It is certainly hard to argue with that, isn't it? Rob is never not muted. It would be funny if this whole time you guys were just humoring me. Chat was just humoring me. You couldn't even hear me at all. This entire stream, you've been just messing with me. Okay, not you now, Duke. Not you. Anyway, folks, one final push here. SUBTEMBER. 7 subs to go. Batch subs on sale. I do have to get going soon. I got to commute here to pick up my kid. I'm still getting used to the schedule of this, and I need to give myself enough time. When I do have a car, that's going to become a little bit easier. Right now, it's like a little more complicated, so I do have to get going soon. So one final push here. One final call to action. If you enjoy this program, if you like watching this stream, if you appreciate the jokes and the conversation, the chit-chat, the analysis, you did a lot of yapping today, Progressive Canuck, but it was great. If you like all that stuff, please support this program. Oh, Powerful Finger, I completely agree. You know what's funny about DOJ going after right-wingers? They get salty when Putin tells NGOs to register as foreign agents. This is the hypocrisy that I was talking about, right? In Georgia, when that happens, all of a sudden it's this assault on freedom and freedom of speech and democracy and all this stuff. When Nicaragua kicks out US-sponsored journalists and radio programs, are there going to be civil liberties for the fascists? Are they going to get to keep their newspapers and their radio programs? Then it's a big deal. Then it's like, oh, this is against freedom. It's against freedom of expression and freedom of the press. So yes, I actually do find that very funny. When other nations, or China is another example, or DPRK, take steps to protect themselves from Western influence in media. You know, with the whole thing, Lukashenko thing. Remember, what did he say? What was the Lukashenko thing? We'll massacre all the scum you have, all the NGOs and all those people. Oh, you're upset. Remember that? Then when he does it, it's bad. When he does it, it's bad. When we do it, it's okay.
Ликвидировано 270 НКО в Беларуси.
Отвечаю на твой вопрос, не трудись. Выражем всех мерзавцев, которых вы финансировали. Ах, вы озаботились, что мы уничтожили ваши структурки. НКО, НПО и прочее, которые вы финансировали. Мы людей, которые работали на Беларусь, которые помогали людям, пальцем не тронули. А те, которые пользовались вашей помощью, получая от вас финансирование.
Why is it bad when he does it? But when the United States passes down these indictments and goes after these kind of foreign influence operations, that's okay. They're allowed to protect themselves. Other countries are not allowed to protect themselves.
Поэтому мне важно, как меня воспринимают мой народ.
А вот этот вопрос легитимности, он для вас важен?
Абсолютно. Он мне не важен абсолютно, как вы будете там меня легитимным считать или нелегитимным. Вы лучше разберитесь, как вы будете с Байденом общаться. Он для вас легитимен или нет? С моей точки зрения, нелегитимен. Вы видели, что происходило на выборах. Наплевать на то, что обо мне сегодня думают в Англии или в
I'm just saying there's a little bit of a double standard. There's a little bit of hypocrisy in the way that we talk about these foreign influence operations. And maybe we should have some kind of standard where you can't try and subvert other countries' democracies. If that's the standard, then like, okay, that can be the standard. But you can't be against these kind of foreign influence operations when they're happening to you, and then also engage constantly in these exact kinds of foreign influence operations around the world. I don't think that's that unfair. I really don't. We got the sad music, but you know what would be really sad is if this stream ended and the little number remained there. That's what would be really sad. Personally, I think. And remember, folks, Subtember, batch subs on sale. You can also tip if you want, if you can. America sets the tone, then gets upset when others follow their lead. Exactly. Or when they wage independent, like struggles for independence. When they wage revolutionary struggles for independence. It's okay when America does it. It's not so good when other countries do it. When Vietnam does it, for example.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
+1 to number.
Waker Oats Guy, thank you for the 35 months. +1 to the number, indeed. This is going to be a problem. It's not that far to drive to the school. When there's no traffic, it's not far, but it's going to be finding a time when there is no traffic. That's going to be the issue. Getting into a rhythm there, that's the issue. It's like I just checked the map and it's going to take me twice as long to get there as it normally does. Mr. Putin, build up this number. That's right. Hello, Baldwin. What's up? Okay, well, 6 subs to go, folks. I would love to get to the sub goal. And you know what? I'm sure that we are going to get there. I'm positive that the sub goal is going to be met. But I'm going to go ahead and find someone to raid to here. Thank you again for tuning in, everyone. Excuse me, I can't even talk. I'm tired. Excuse me.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Baldwin, thanks for the gifted sub. Very kind of you. We're going to go ahead and raid friend of the show, S. Usim, right now.
Old Rob to talk you through all
Not
this.
totally sure what he's up to, but you know, he's been a supporter of this show from day one. So, ground level news. Thanks for the 15 months of Prime. Here for 5 seconds, but I helped out. Baldwin, that's why we love you. So thanks again for tuning in, folks. I appreciate it. Only 4 subs to go. It's still possible. The ball's spinning in the air, waiting for someone to slam it home, just like Woody Harrelson in White Men Can't Jump. If everyone else subbed every 5 seconds, that would really help. I agree. It would help a lot. It would really help a lot if that was true. Thanks again, chat. As always, I appreciate you tuning in and being a part of this show and being part of the community. I'll talk to you soon. Maybe tomorrow. I don't know when exactly, but goodbye.